Hi, I'm Kelly Forshaw-Smith, Head Medical Trainer for the Finishing Touches Group and Director and Technician of Medicos London. And today we have...
Monica Ivani.
Monica has been in the industry for 8 years. She came into it because she wanted a total career change. She has her own pigment range with LI, which is a signature series for eyebrows. International brow trainer, and she travels around the world teaching her techniques. She has a number of webinars on brows, photography, and on marketing. Monica's topic today is brilliant brows. So welcome, Monica.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me on. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So, everybody at the moment knows that eyebrows are hot property. Everybody's loving the brows. They're loving to perfect the brows. So when do you think the brow boom kind of started?
They started, I think that about 6 years ago, maybe. And then they got really big about 5 years ago, and it's just got bigger and bigger since then. Really, obviously, really popular. Nowadays, people don't even have to have their makeup done, but the brows have to be done. So it's just huge now, isn't it?
Yeah, I met a girl once that she told me, before I tattooed them, she told me that she takes 3 hours to do her eyebrows.
Oh my God.
I was slightly worried that I was then going to be doing them and thinking, okay, so she takes 3 hours, the perfection that she's going to need. But I mean, as much as I'd love to have the time, 3 hours in my day to do my eyebrows, that's serious dedication, isn't it?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. 3 hours is I wish I had 3 hours, but no, that's it. So brows are just the thing. Absolutely. It's just more important than hair or anything else now. And not that it's more important, but I do think that people definitely spend a lot more time and money into their appearance now than they did 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But the brows are just huge. Absolutely huge.
Why do you think that is with the brows? Why do you think everyone's focused on the eyebrow?
Because I think that people realize that eyebrows can change the face for the better. And it's such a dramatic change that once if you have your eyebrows done, it's just, it gives, obviously lashes and brows, the two things that can just make your face into, you have, say, going from a morning look to an evening look almost just by doing your eyebrows and your lashes. So I think that's...
Yeah, it's also amazing how an eyebrow can lift the face. Sometimes I've done somebody before, they've had like a very flat eyebrow, and then all of a sudden they look like they've had a facelift. Yeah. It's incredible what your eyebrow can do.
Absolutely.
So why do you like the eyebrows so much? You do all the treatments, but why do you like eyebrows the most?
I don't, Kelly. I don't do anything but eyebrows.
You're just an eyebrow legend.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I don't do anything else. I hate doing lips. I hate doing eyeliners. Everybody knows it. I hate doing everything, but eyebrows, I just do eyebrows every day, all day long. And obviously I teach and I do develop products now and stuff, but I only do eyebrows. And you know what? I'm very happy. And I know everybody, when they hear this the first time, they go, oh my God, how is that even possible that you don't have to do eyeliner and lips? But you don't have to do it if you don't want to, because a lot of people say, obviously, that eyebrows are so much easier than eyeliner or lips, because obviously the eye is so much more sensitive, it will swell, it just, it's definitely a more skilled work, and so is the lips. And obviously I was trained in both, but still I just love the eyebrows. I prefer it, and I do sometimes eyeliners, but you know what, I lose about 10 pounds each time I do an eyeliner. It's so stressful. I absolutely hate every second of it. I would rather do 100 eyebrows than one eyeliner. That's how much I hate it.
Do you do everything with eyebrows then? Do you do tinting and bits as well, or just permanent makeup?
Just permanent makeup, yeah, and just hair strokes and ombre, and obviously the combination is huge now, and just those two techniques really, and that's it. Yeah, but for years I only did hair strokes and nothing else.
Wow. And do you do machine and microblading, or?
No, just machine.
Just machine.
All machine. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And then I mentioned earlier that you work with LI. So tell me a little bit about the product range for the eyebrows. What sort of product? Are they organic or inorganic?
So they are inorganic. So, well, it's a mixture of inorganic and organic, but more inorganic. So Li has reached out to me a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago now, and asked if I would do a signature series with them, because they were thinking to do maybe 4 well-known artists around the world. And I was their European choice, because the other 3 is actually Americans. And, you know, Li is an American company. So yes, of course, I was delighted, because I have been using Li anyway. I loved it. Now I use organic pigments as well sometimes, but mainly I use inorganics. And yeah, so I was delighted. So we came up with this, well, all the signature series. It's a box of 4 pigments only, and they are pre-modified, they're ready to use, they're very, very popular. We came out about 1.5 years ago with it, and they are very popular all around the world. So I'm delighted. I love it. That's what I use mainly, but I do use organic. I do use other brands and other pigments sometimes as well, if I feel.
What would be your top 3 brands of pigment if you could choose?
But obviously I love Li pigments, and I love, obviously, I because that's what I have been using my pigments mainly, 99%. Obviously, I love that. But I do use permablend sometimes as well. If I feel I have a client that I have done maybe 4 or 5 times already over the last number of years, and I know that she's very happy with my work, but she wants something stronger, something that will last her longer. And obviously the inorganic just fades away too quick for her or whatever, and I know she's happy with my work, then I would definitely offer her permablend. What other brands? I believe that biotech pigments are also very good. I haven't really tried it that much, but yeah, there's lots and lots of brands out there, and they are great. You know.
What about machine-wise? What are your top 3 machines?
So so obviously, I don't know if you know, but I have my own machines as well. And obviously I use them. So I have 2 machines. One that I use for powdering, which is the Pixie machine. And I love that. It creates lovely pixels, and I love it. It's very, very soft. It's a very small little machine, and it's very affordable. So I'm sure you were the same. When I started, they sold me these really expensive big machines, and it was just so expensive and whatever. And I did offer that to my students, but then I felt that maybe about 1 year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, that the industry has changed with machines, and now the market is so much more open, and there is more availabilities for cheaper and more affordable machines, which doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad because they're cheaper, but it's just that you don't have to spend 4,000 or 5,000 pounds or euros for a machine now. You can get a pretty good machine for a couple of hundred. Yeah,
I get on that one. It just depends on your insurance and stuff, but that's obviously another chat. So it depends on fit for use, and what you're using it for, and what your accreditation is of what you're getting. Because if you do micropigmentation, you're meant to use a micropigmentation device, and if you're doing tattooing, you're meant to use a tattoo device. I think but that one's definitely a whole other subject that hopefully we can do another time if you're up for it. So yes, also definitely. Tell me a little bit about what's your top tips for creating the perfect brow.
Oh, wow. Well, I think that combination brows are huge. I don't know about you guys, but all of my clients that come in, they want the combo brows, so the hair strokes in the front and then the powder at the end. Now, obviously, you can create it with microblading if somebody microblades, and then the powdering, because everybody wants that definition, especially underneath here, I feel. So that's the most popular technique. And how do you get that? Well, I don't know. That's a very hard question. What would my tip be to create a great eyebrow? Oh my goodness, I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to that.
So when someone walks in, how do you decide whether they're a hair stroke, a combo, or an ombre or a block brow?
All right. Okay. So hair strokes, I have been doing hair strokes for 8 years from the very, very beginning. That's how I learned. And I have done hair strokes only for about 5 years, and only started doing ombre brows now in the last couple of years since it became popular. So, but hair strokes, it is great, but very, very, obviously we know we're very limited with it because it doesn't suit everybody. Yeah. So hair strokes will only suit people that have very little natural eyebrows themselves, because obviously then you see the hair strokes if somebody have a lot of hairs, have great eyebrows themselves, there's no point of doing hair strokes really, because there's not going to do much for them. So obviously if they have good eyebrows, I wouldn't really recommend hair strokes because they're just wasting their money. And if they have no hairs or very little hairs, then yes, definitely. Now, also, obviously, it depends on what the client is looking for. If a client is looking for a super duper natural look and just a little bit more than what they have, and they wear no makeup ever, then hair strokes are great. But if they come in and say they have no eyebrows and they come in with this massive, big, heavy eyebrows drawn in, I'm not going to go and recommend them hair strokes, because clearly that's the look that they came in with is a much stronger look, so they probably would want an ombre brow or a combination brow. So yeah, so that's how I would be putting them in categories, I suppose. And then obviously we'll have a little chat. A lot of people obviously probably as well, do you do eyebrows or
I do
strokes?
Yes. Yeah, but
yeah, so that everybody loves the hair strokes. Everybody loves hair strokes, and they all obsessed with the look of it. But then once we have a chat and I explain to them how natural it is. So if somebody have been penciling in or putting makeup on their eyebrows every day, hair strokes won't be enough for them. And I know this from me because I have my powder brows done with Aniela, and I love, and I still put a pencil makeup on every day still. So I want that heavier look, and it's still not very heavy. It's So so hair strokes just don't do anything for me because it's so soft, it's so natural, it's almost like unfinished.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't give you a definition, it doesn't give you that pretty shape that ombre brows would. So it just depends on obviously what the client wants.
When they come in and you've established which style that you're going to do for them, do you map up? Do you mark up? Do you use pencil? Do you use threads? Do you use the measurer? What sort of way do you measure up your eyebrows?
Yeah. So absolutely. So I use a caliper, a mini caliper, tiny little mini caliper, and then the thread, of course. The thread is amazing, so much easier. I'm sure everybody is using it. And if anybody is not using it, then I would definitely recommend them using it. It's so easy because it's just bang, bang, bang. So I definitely recommend that, and the caliper, and yes, I use a Sharpie pencil, the wax pencil. And what the tip that I do, and I have it's all on my Instagram and everywhere. The one tip that I can maybe recommend is, a lot of people don't like the wax pencils because they don't like shaving the wax bits off. Because of a number of reasons. So what I do is I use a pencil sharpener. So I would take the paper off the pencil, and I just use a normal, but not a normal pencil sharpener. It's a normal pencil sharpener, but it's a Faber-Castell pencil sharpener. I'm sure that other sharpeners will work as well. And I just sharpen the wax bit to a very sharp point. So that I do love that. It's just made my life a little bit easier. But there's always new things coming out, isn't it?
I loved it. I saw people using like a foundation after they've drawn in the eyebrows. They use a foundation around, or maybe obviously something that's obviously okay for the skin. Or I've seen people use the white pencils around it. What's your view on that?
I'm not mad about it. Now, there's nothing wrong with it, and I'm sure a lot of my friends doing that, they do that a lot in America and in Europe as well, and as I said, a lot of my friends doing that, and they great, they look amazing, and that's great, and if they like it, that's fine. I don't really like it for myself. I don't even tattoo over pencil. So when I do my pre-drawing, I do obviously just the outline. I don't even touch my outline when I'm tattooing, because I don't want to tattoo pencil into the skin. It's just not meant for it, and you just don't know what's in it, and I just don't want to do it. But again, there's nothing wrong with it. Nobody have died of it yet.
Is that why you get it so sharp to begin with, so that you just tattoo inside of where the drawing is?
Yeah. But as I said, a lot of people do the highlighting underneath and the foundation as well, and that's fine, and it looks great. It definitely looks good. But then again, I just don't know how good it is to put makeup on the skin that you're going to be tattooing. So I don't know. I'm like a little bit torn.
So you personally don't do it. Others out there might do, but you personally don't do it. So when your patient, so you've drawn your patient in, do you draw them upright or lying down, or how do you draw them in?
Sitting up. I always do it sitting up, but I know a lot of my students, a lot of people doing it lying down, and that's how they learned it. And if they can do it, that's great. But obviously then a lot of the times they would be sitting their clients up as well during their mapping.
Yeah, because obviously you've got gravity, haven't you? So you do need to sit up, because otherwise we're not all perfect when we lie down. Unfortunately, gravity happens.
Exactly. And then the muscles and whatever, you know, I have always done it sitting up, and I just have an electric chair, so the client is sitting up very comfortably, and then I can kind of position my arms on her as well. So I'm kind of, so I just got used to it, and it's pretty easy for me, and I'm pretty fast at it now, obviously, but that wasn't the way it was years ago. Obviously it took me hours to do it.
When you do the actual micropigmentation itself, do your patients lie down then, or are they upright, or how do they lie when you're doing the treatment?
Yes, so they totally flat, and I'm behind them, and I move around the head. And I know that this is, some people do this, some people just do it from the one side, whichever obviously works for each person. But at the beginning, when I started, I was taught to do it from one side as well, and then I realized that the two brows were very different. The hair strokes were very different on the two sides. So that they were kind of, one was like lying down, one was so they were different direction. They were just not great. So I had to change something. So I changed it. So and now I'm always doing the same. So I always pull it to me. So I pull the needle to my heart. So I always move out. So whatever, depending on the hair strokes I do. So obviously if I'm doing the side, so I always pull it to my heart, and the same thing on the other side.
You pull the needle to your heart. Ah, that's lovely. So that's perfect. I do exactly the same, which is all good as well. Because also I think people forget as well that patient can actually move. So I'm like, move the face, like just move the face.
Yeah.
They move, and then you get a different angle. But also, if you notice that your hair strokes are going in one direction, you need to move it up, don't you? You need to move around to make sure that you're the same on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, now say one of my friends, Mary Richardson, she's one of my best friends, and she pre-draws all of her strokes before she does them with a sharp pencil. And I know that some people do that, and I would definitely very highly recommend that too. If somebody doesn't have maybe a great pattern in their head yet, you know, or they're struggling with their patterns or their hair stroke placement and so, but she pre-draws all of the hair strokes. Now, so what I do sometimes is I pre-draw maybe 6 or 7 main hair strokes in the brow. I just feel that when you pre-draw your strokes, and people have maybe hairs, obviously eyebrow hairs, and then you have the outline, and then you have the pencil strokes, and then you start tattooing, so you have a bit of pigment there. So it's just too much going on. It's a bit too dirty for me. I can't see them properly. So for me, I prefer just to do the hair strokes. I have the pattern in my head, so I just go one by one, starting from the front, and I know where they start, where they should be starting, and when they should be ending for each hair stroke. You know.
Do you think you need a pattern then when you're working? Do you need a pattern, or because I don't personally necessarily have a major pattern? When I look at someone, I go, right, okay, here we go. This is what I'm going to do. Or does it work for you having a pattern? Does everyone have the same pattern?
No. So I have obviously a lots of different patterns. So depending on the person's natural hair placement as well. So I do change it for each. But I do know where, say, the front hair strokes should be. I know where the middle hair strokes should be. Yeah. I know where the top hair stroke should start, and so on and so on. But a lot of people don't, especially if they begin, if they just starting off with hair strokes, they don't really know. So obviously they may want to pre-draw their hair stroke. That's a really good tip for sure. 100%.
And then midway through, how long does it take you to do an eyebrow?
Well, this is what I would say. Do not rush it. Do not rush it, because I know people that do it in an hour, the whole procedure, the whole appointment in an hour. I think that's fine, because you can do a lot of clients, obviously, but I just feel that if you want really quality work, it takes me about 2 hours for the whole appointment. But if I have somebody, say, very pretty, very young, and I really wanted to, so then I take my time. And I don't mean that I would tattoo her longer. I wouldn't, but just take my time with photographs before and at the end. I would take videos before and at the end. So even just like taking good photographs would take me about half an hour to 45 minutes.
Wow.
So yeah, it just depends. But obviously if I have somebody, maybe an older client, that the brows ended up great, but obviously she bruised a good bit, I'm not going to be taking lots of photographs. I'll take 3, 1 from each side and 1 in the front, and that's it. That will only take me a minute. But if, as I said, if I do have somebody very pretty and very young, and I know that I want to use her pictures a lot, then I definitely take my time on that. So it depends. So it could take me 3.5 hours for an appointment then, you know?
So you also mentioned that you do a photography webinar. Is all the pointers and tips like that on there? Okay, good. Because I think it is really important, is that you could be the best technician in the world, but if you can't advertise or market your own work, you're never going to get any interest.
100%. And exactly. And this is, I do tell this now, this webinar is only coming out in the next few days. So it's a very hush for now, but obviously this video will be coming out in you know, later on, after probably. So yeah, so it is coming out and it's going to be great. Yeah, there's lots of marketing tips, there's lots of photography tips like that. As I said, there's just, it's so important to market yourself and to take good photographs. It's so important. You can't just be like bang 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 and then post it on things on Instagram. I would never do that. As I said, if I do post something, I do put a lot of work in there.
What about with all the filters and stuff going on? Do you filter your pictures?
Yes.
You do?
No. So no. Well, I do use a very light little filter, but it's not a filtering of the work, but it's a filter on the skin, but it's very, very light. It doesn't really change anything, but I'll tell you my secret. And again, this video won't be shown until the webinar. So my secret, I feel, is that I take my pictures with a camera and not the phone. Yeah. So most people will take it with the phone, and phones are fine. Phones are absolutely fine. They have great cameras nowadays, but I would rather cut off my hand before I post a picture that I have taken with my phone. So my secret is that I use a camera, a Nikon. It's a very cheap camera. I have an expensive one and then I have a cheap one, and I use the cheaper one actually because it's so much easier. And everything is in the webinar, obviously. And explains it how I use the camera, how to use it, how to transfer the pictures. I think that I think people's main problem with using a camera is they don't know how to transfer the pictures easy and quick. They think that you're gonna have to connect it to your computer when you go home, and then it's the whole big thing. But it's nothing like that. It goes through the Wi-Fi, and end of your work and end of your day, you can just transfer the pictures in 1 minute.
Yeah.
So it's really, really easy and really fast. And yeah, it just makes a huge difference. There's a picture comparison in the webinar where I have taken it exactly with the same lighting, the same position, with an iPhone 11 Pro Max, and then the one with the camera, and it's totally unedited pictures. And there's a huge difference in just the skin tone, huge difference. You know, and I think
maybe we can have another interview at another time on that as well. That would be great, on social media, or even just photography, because it's so important. And then obviously they can always have a look at your webinar as well. So where do you think people are going wrong with their eyebrows? Because sometimes you see them and they're all blurred, or you know, they've not got even color throughout them. What tip could you give to someone to stop that from happening?
Well, I do think that not consistent enough. Well, I think that people rush it through, and I think that they think that in half an hour, 40 minutes, they're gonna whip out an eyebrow tattoo or any kind of tattoo in fact. But as I said, if you put in your time and effort, and just never be happy with your work, so just don't stop until you're happy. Me teaching, I think what I see a lot is when students say, and they could be like amazing, super talented artists, and they say at the class they did a model, and then at the end they say, oh yeah, you know what, we'll fix it at the touch-up time.
Yeah.
But I don't do that. I don't do touch-ups. By the time my client leaves, they need to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I mean, not one missing detail or missing anything. It has to be perfect. So I don't leave it, I don't finish it until they are 100%. So I think it's just being very fussy and very fiddly, and just very into
so
detail.
You don't do retouches?
Detail.
None of your patients don't return in 4 weeks?
80% of them don't. So I only do 20%. I tell them only come back to me if they need a touch-up, and 80% of them heal so good that I don't even see them. They come back a year later.
Oh, so roughly, so that's my next question I was going to ask. So roughly how long should someone leave it before they come back for a top-up?
Well, that depends if they they use an organic pigment or an inorganic pigment, and also depends on how much pigment will they be implanting in. So my techniques are super light and very, I implant very little pigments in there anyway, and I use them inorganic most of the time. So that means that by the time my clients come back, which is about a year, they will be almost gone. So about 10, 20, maybe 30% left, but very, very little left in there. So when they come back in 12 to 18 months, they will be doing a brand new procedure. But because I'm doing hair strokes a lot, I think that's the only way to do it with hair strokes. If you use an organic pigments, which we know obviously that organic pigments will last so much longer, and if they saturate the skin with organic pigments, then it will last a really long time. It could last 10 years, 20 years, we don't know. So with organic pigments, they also have to be very light-handed and make sure that they don't implant too much pigment. But then again, I think that 2 to 3 years with organic pigments, is probably the time when they have to come back for touch-ups. But I love the fact that they fade away totally for me, because then I can, as I said, I can change the shape. I get better every year. I don't know about people, but I think that we all get just better and better, obviously, the more experience we have. So when my client comes back next year, I will be better next year. So I can maybe do a better shape, and I can just lift up the tails if there's nothing left. But if they come back when there is still lots of color in there, you really can't do very much. You're kind of set on that shape and maybe the technique as well.
Yeah, no, I do a lot of areola work, and with the patients, they're like, yeah, but I want it to last forever. And I'm like, well, actually, you don't. It's the same thing. So your skin tone is going to change. So when you get older, your skin tone goes lighter. You become more transparent.
Yeah.
So more of the cooler tones are going to come through. Whether you're a warm tone when you're younger, you're more likely to be cooler as you get older. Yeah. So in which case you'll want to be changing the pigment. Also hair color as well. Yeah. You might want to be more of a salt and pepper or more of a grey when you're much older, or you might dye your hair and be much darker. So it enables you to change, and it can give a lift to something. Maybe one side's dropped a little bit more than the other, because obviously 100% dominant side, haven't you? And absolutely, the side's going to get stronger over time. So again, you're going to need to adjust. And okay, that makes sense. That sounds good. So you do want it to fade away so that you can get your. I do. I want them to fade. Yeah, I do. I want them to fade away almost to nothing. And I'm very happy with that. But I know that not everybody is like that, and I know people use a lot of organics now as well, and that's absolutely perfect as well. And but I just feel also financially, you see, if your clients come back every year, think about it, you don't need as big of a clientele then. Yeah. But if you use an organic pigment and your clients only come back every 2, 3, 4 years, you will need a lot bigger clientele to keep yourself going and keep your business going. Financially as well, but that's not the main reason at all. Because if you ask any of my clients, and I'm in Ireland, in Dublin, and if you ask any of my clients, if I give them the choice, do you want them to fade away in a year, or do you want them to last for 2, 3, 4 years? They all gonna go for let's fade away. I want them to fade away. I would rather come back and pay you whatever 200-300 every year, but then I still have the options. I have my options open. I can change the technique. I can change the shape. It looks more sheerer, it looks lighter, it looks softer than organic pigments, which is a lot more stronger in color as well, of course. So everybody's just, it needs to be decided by the artist. Do you get a residue though when they're fading away?
Sometimes, yeah. For some people, yeah. So with inorganics, we'll fade into a little bit warmer tones. So when they come back after about 12 to 18 months, they probably will fade. Not all of them, but some people may fade into a little bit of a warmer tone. So it's like a pinky hue in there. But then when you use organic pigments, they will fade into a bluer tone. So we don't really have the option, or we don't have a choice. So it's again, so one will be a little bit warmer, pinkier, one will be more bluer. So yeah, we don't really have a choice. That's going to happen either way, but not for every client. Some clients will totally break down all the color, and some people will leave a residue with both pigments.
Do you recommend people that when they're going through that fade kind of process before they get to you, that they somehow maybe exfoliate slightly or use any products to lighten that up a bit?
They can if they want to, but again, so you need to remember that iron oxides are a lot sheerer, so they won't be as strong and vivid colors even from the beginning. So by the time that 12 to 18 months comes, they will be so faded that there is barely anything. It's like a soft hue in there that you can't even see underneath their eyebrows. So no, they don't really need to do that. But if they want to, and if say if somebody did eyebrows and they maybe weren't that experienced and they ended up implanting too much pigment with either inorganic or organic, doesn't matter. And if they want them faded, what I do recommend to a lot of clients that come in and they have had maybe bad jobs done and they want to remove them is to make a paste with sea salt and fresh lemon juice and exfoliate it 2 times a day. And is that what you do?
Yeah, that is exactly what I do. And do you know what? McDonald's salt is the best.
No way!
It was just a little practice thing, and I was like, right, I've got lots of different salts, and I did like different bits of this lady. She was a friend of mine, of the removal of her eyebrows, and it wasn't me that did the eyebrows originally, and I was like, no, I'll remove it for you, but you have to be my guinea pig. She was like, okay. So I was like, right, so I did all the paste mixing up, and I did all different salts, and I carried on doing it, and the McDonald's salt won.
Kelly, that is hilarious.
So another question for eyebrows. You know when a patient comes in and mine do anyway, and they go, oh, I haven't plucked my eyebrows. I've saved them for like the last year, and they're like literally growing down to their eyelids and stuff. Do you recommend patients come in with them plucked or waxed, or do you do that, or do they do it after? What's your recommendation?
So I don't, Kelly. I prefer them coming in like a monkey, like a bush, a big bush, because I prefer to leave the hairs where I want them to be. But obviously every artist is different, and it's very much a personal preference, I think. I don't actually pluck or shave the eyebrows until at the very end. So I design the eyebrows, I tattoo the eyebrows, and at the very end, then I take off whatever I think that has to come off. So, but I think most people like to take them off before they start tattooing. I don't. So it's a very personal thing, I think. It just depends, because I think that if they get it threaded or waxed beforehand, the artist that does it for them maybe taking off hairs where I would have left it. Yeah. You know, so they're gonna put a different shape on it, which I don't want. I want to create the shape that I think is best for them, and enhance their, and use as much hair as possible. So
also, I heard a rumor, like originally, I don't know how true this is, that if you pluck your eyebrows just before having a treatment, that a little bit of pigment could get into the follicle where the hair's been removed because it's still slightly open.
I don't think so. That never happened to me.
Yeah.
Ever.
No, I never know what to believe.
Anyway, before. No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's, would that be the case? I don't know. Maybe.
So you mentioned that you take approximately about 2 hours to do an eyebrow. How much do you charge for an eyebrow, if you don't mind me asking?
So I charge 400 euros and then 150 euros for the touch-up. So I charge 2 separate prices. So it's 550 euros. But it's let's talk about the price a little bit, just because I feel that there is a huge debate on this, and how much should you charge? If you charge too little, then people will think that you're cheap.
Yeah.
And then if you charge too much, people will think that you're too away with the fairies, and you may think too much of yourself or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, the price is very important. And I tell you what, so before COVID came, I decided that I didn't want to do more clients anymore. I wanted to focus on training only. So we raised my prices up to 800 euros. So over double the price, because I wanted all the clients to go to my staff and not to me.
Yeah.
But we changed that now. Obviously, with COVID, it's a different situation now. But anyway, so it depends on obviously where they live, where each artist lives. But just one thing to be thinking about, depending on what clientele does everybody wants. If you want a younger clientele, if you want an older clientele, if you're happy with an older clientele, they will have more money than a younger clientele, obviously younger girls. But younger girls are always better for marketing and to build up your Instagram. Obviously, Instagram is being so visual and blah, blah, blah. So obviously, you're not going to be advertising yourself so much on Instagram with older ladies. There's nothing wrong with older ladies, but obviously the skin is not as good, the shape won't be as pretty, blah blah blah. There's always, there's going to be bruising, there's going to be bleeding and all that, which is not great for photographs and marketing. But you see, the more expensive you charge, the less of that clientele, the younger clientele you will get. So then you're going to have to do free services for younger people to market yourself. So I think a middle price, somewhere where say younger people can afford it as well, and then you don't have to do them free. You can just do them as a normal service. You charge them, but you can advertise yourself with. And then obviously the older generation can still come to you as well. So I think somewhere in the middle is good.
Okay, this is a little question. So obviously you mentioned doing the younger ones for the marketing and stuff. Is it not giving off, and I mean this obviously like nicely and stuff, is it not giving off an image that you can only get them done or they only look nice when you're young? Do you show older picture and real images?
No. I don't. No, that's not the case at all. I mean, I have a lot of older clients as well, and they are amazing. They love them, and they're so beautiful, and obviously they make their lives amazing. But again, in the marketing world that we live in, with Instagram being so visual, and when you're scrolling down, it just doesn't look good on your grid. And this is terrible to even say it out loud, but it just doesn't. If somebody goes onto your page, your profile,
but is it false advertising for someone like an older person looking at it and go, oh wow, those eyebrows are amazing? Then they come and get theirs done. Obviously their skin is different. It's not going to be the same. But in their head, they think that they're going to look like that, like with the perfect
but they will look amazing. They will look amazing. Absolutely, they will look amazing. But this is how marketing goes. You're not going to market yourself. You don't see, but you don't see that in TV or any marketing in anywhere. They obviously use the prettiest, the youngest, the most gorgeous people all around with every single industry, not just in permanent makeup, but everywhere. That's how it goes. People want to see pretty, gorgeous young people, and I think that's unfortunately that's what it is. That's how you're going to market yourself. But again, I'm not saying that posting, older generation is bad. It's not at all. If that's the clientele you're after, you're going to be attracting the clientele that you're posting about. So if you're posting older clients, then that's what you're going to get. If you're posting a younger, prettier girls, that's what you're going to get. So it depends on the artist, whatever they want to attract. They need to decide at the beginning, what do you want to attract? I want younger clients, but that doesn't mean I don't do older ladies. I do, and I absolutely love them, and they're so happy, and they look gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But it just means I'm not going to post them on Instagram.
Yeah.
Maybe on Facebook.
Do you do male eyebrows?
No, never.
No, so just women.
Never did. Yeah. And I wouldn't be very comfortable doing a male either. I would rather send them to somebody that have done males and they maybe specialize in male eyebrows, because they're very different. The skin is very different, and the shape, the technique, the hair stroke placement, everything is totally different. You see, I'm terrible at, I just do whatever I want. Which is not always good. But you see, I'm still very busy. I'm too busy even with this. So I couldn't be taking on other stuff.
Did COVID affect you badly, or are you okay, or are people waiting for their wait list?
Yeah, COVID affected me mentally only, thank God. Mentally and emotionally, and not financially. So we're very lucky. We're still very busy. We're always booked up for months ahead. And I have other things. So I have the online webinars, and I have the products. I do have lots of products that we have started about a couple of years ago. So we're very busy with that, thankfully. So not doing clients so much it doesn't. Now, obviously, I travel a lot. So that definitely affected. So I can't be traveling. I can't be teaching. We had Australia, New Zealand, Canada booked in. We had lots of places booked in. So obviously we had to reschedule them. But that will come. But it's more mentally and emotionally, I think, that I feel, I don't feel,
Yeah, a little bit.
What about you?
Brain, but exactly the same. Exactly the same with the training and stuff. I'm quite lucky because with medical we're allowed to teach. and do the treatments as well when other technicians weren't as much. So I've been quite lucky that I do the medical because it's kept me
amazing. Yeah, that's brilliant.
which is quite nice. But like you said, it's gearing up in other ways. So it is things like spending more time with your family. I mean, that's priceless. And looking for the positives. There's nothing we can do, I think, with the negatives. So we might as well try and move forward, learn new things, have new techniques, do that painting that you've wanted to do for years and years and years, whatever it is, and try and channel it in a different way. Because once we do get out of all of this, I think we're just going to be guns blazing, and I think we'll be better technicians for it.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. Yes, you're so good and you're so great. Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
Okay, so last little bit though, can you give me any tips on marketing eyebrows, apart from the ones that obviously you've just given me?
Marketing eyebrows. Well, you know, I swear by still today. Now I know that business Facebook have changed a lot, but I still swear by Facebook, a business Facebook page.
Yeah.
So I advertise, that is where I would be advertising myself, and that is where we get 90% of our clients. Obviously, that is not referral. Obviously, your biggest marketing will always be referrals, reviews, you know, all of that. But say if somebody that is just starting off, or they're looking for, you know, obviously a bigger clientele, business Facebook page is amazing in a way that for a very small amount of money, which, you know, I usually spend between $100 to $200 a month for my Facebook page, Facebook advertisement, which is very little if you think about, because like say years ago, it was all the magazines and it costed you like, you know, $2,000, or the radio advertisement cost, you know, $3-4 grand. So, you know, they a lot more expensive, I feel, and you may not reach the goal. So I think everybody's on social media. Instagram is great, but Instagram is much younger. It has a younger audience, which again, it may not have the money that you know, but it is great for advertisements. But Facebook is, business Facebook page where I would be advertising, and I would definitely spend about $200 a month, which is still, it's very little for what we get, because we get all of our clients, and I'm booked up for months and months and months, and so is my staff. So,
and do you personally do manage that yourself, or do you send that out to someone else to deal with?
Yeah, so this is obviously in my webinar as well. So I do it myself. Now, there are lots of companies that do it for you. And if you have really no idea, definitely, you can hire them. That's great. But I feel that they will never connect with your followers the same way as you will. This was my experience. And I think that you seriously need to find that connection between your followers or your likers on your business Facebook page or Instagram and yourself. And you need to, you know, study them, what makes them interested in you, and then obviously posting those contents that are making your followers interested. You know, if you say post something and you didn't get any engagement or very little engagement on, then obviously you shouldn't be posting that material anymore. So you should be changing. So I think that each person gonna be their best space for their business, you know, and they need to connect. So I think it's better for everybody to run it themselves.
Brilliant. This has been absolutely brilliant. I'd love to do another interview if you like, another time on, well, anything you do, basically. Of course. Photography, marketing, all of that. It's fascinating, but the brilliant brow stuff I think is very useful for whether you're in the industry already or you're thinking of coming into the industry. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you.
So I do appreciate it. So
thank you so much for having me, Kelly.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. You're so lovely. So what I'll do is, if anyone's interested or has any questions, that they can comment below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. You can contact me directly. You can contact Monica directly, I'm sure. And we're here to help you. So thank you very much, Monica. And look after yourself. And I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye, Kelly. Thank you.